All right, so when you're looking at the Nike Solarsoft Slides as well as the Nike Benassis and trying to decide which one is better, there are two things that I would suggest that you look at in order to decide which one is going to be the better one. And those two pieces of criteria are, first and foremost, the build quality and the durability of the product. And then second would have to be the overall moisture control as well as level of stink factor. All right. So looking first at the Benassis, the build quality with these slippers or soccer slides or however you want to call them, they're very interesting because, or they're not so interesting because you see a lot of products like this on the market. There's two basic parts to this slipper, which is basically the sole of it, which is what your foot rests on top of, as well as the strap or the band that connects from either side of the slide or the sole of it and wraps around your foot. All right, and so what keeps these two pieces together is basically stitching and glue that, you know, basically keeps these two parts together and creates the Benassi soccer slide that Nike obviously sells. Now, when you're looking at the fact that it's got two parts to it like that, and it's got stitching and glue to it, that should automatically sort of like raise your, that should make you notice or take notice of that, because whenever you have two pieces or more of a product that come together, those two, wherever it is that those two pieces of the product are connected, are usually going to be places where that product will eventually will start to show signs of being overused or just kind of like break down, and because the stitching and the glue are eventually going to have to get undone, and the slipper is going to kind of break down on you, and it's going to be, you're going to eventually have to throw it away after a certain point. In comparison to the Benassi, what you have is the Solarsoft Slide, and these slippers they're just one piece basically. They're just one piece of rubber or plastic or some kind of special material that Nike uses, and the way that it's made is sort of like through this injected mold process, where they have this sort of like form where like the slipper is going to shape into, and they inject whatever that rubber is into it, and it fills in all of the crevices and all that, and then eventually it cools down and eventually opens up, and you're left with basically just a single piece of product, a single slipper or slide, which is obviously the Solarsoft Slide. And what you'll notice is that when you have this kind of a process or this kind of a product, which is just a single piece, and I've noticed this because I've used both of these slippers, is that with the Solarsoft Slide, the durability and the longevity of the product is so much better and so much longer. It just doesn't break down as quickly. And in fact, I have a pair of Solarsoft Slides now, which I've been using for about 3+ years, and they have yet to show any sign of wear and tear, any serious wear and tear, where I would feel like I would need to throw these out and get a new pair of slipper. They're going strong, and they've been lasting me for many years now, and so I highly recommend them, simply just based on the fact that they last you a very long time. Now, when it comes to the Benassis, though, I used to have these slippers too, before I had the Solarsoft Slides, and I think it was about after the 6-month mark that they started to show a lot of like wear and tear, and eventually the stitching part of it on my right slipper, because I'm like right-footed, I tend to use my right foot a lot more when I walk or what have you, and so the right slipper, it broke down on me because the band on the left side, I suppose, it started to tear away, and it eventually got to the point where it just kind of like was completely removed, and I was left with a broken slipper and had to throw those away. So, your mileage may vary. It may break down on you, after a longer period of time of you wearing them. Maybe not 3 or 6 months, maybe nine months to a year to maybe 2 years or even longer. But inevitably, those slippers are going to break down on you And I would argue that they're going to break down on you a lot more quickly and sooner than the Solarsoft Slides will. Just by design, what you'll notice is that the Solarsoft Slides, they're just going to last you a lot longer because of the fact that they're just a single piece of rubber. And they're just not gonna, you're just not gonna see the same kind of like breakdown on those as you would with the Benassis. Now, when it comes to the second piece of criteria that I use to evaluate slippers, it's the moisture control as well as the level of stink that kind of like comes with a pair of slippers. And so when you're looking at the Benassis, what you'll notice is that on the strap part or the band, the bottom part of it that touches the the top of your foot when you're wearing them, that's like a cloth-like mesh, like a cloth-like mesh that absorbs a lot of moisture and dirt and grime and sweat and bacteria. It tends to like fester in that mesh quality like cloth that's in there. And what ends up happening is that after a prolonged amount of use, that really begins to smell a lot, and you're going to have to periodically wash those in order to make sure that they don't stay stinky, and they don't they're not as dirty. And what you'll notice is that whenever you do make them wet, whenever you have to like wash them, or if you're outside washing your car and you happen to get they happen to get wet, it takes a lot longer for them to dry as well. In comparison to them, the Solarsoft Slides, because it's all just like a rubber material, the band is also rubber, and it's got perforated holes on the top of it, so it helps with breathability. But overall, it doesn't absorb any water, and you could say that they're basically waterproof. And so if they do happen to get wet, they're very easy to clean, and they're very easy to dry. They just dry very quickly, and it only takes a little bit of time for them to dry. And if you really want to speed it up even further, you can just pat them dry with like a piece of towel paper or something like that, or you could just sort of like use whatever it is that you like, maybe even grab them and just sort of like shake them around a little bit in order to like get the droplets of water off of it. And so when it comes to drying, they're just so much better, and they stink a lot less. Now, obviously, if you wear them for a long time and you end up, your feet start to smell a little bit, because if you wear anything for a long enough time, it's going to eventually start to smell through, friction and, like sweat and the heat that your feet gives off. You just wash your feet, wash the slipper a little bit, dry it, and you're pretty much good to go. And it's very, very easy to maintain in that way. Now, apart from that, the Solarsoft Slides from Nike, they're the more newer model of them now come out with are a little bit different from the ones that I bought back in the day a little bit, because they don't have the perforated holes on the top part of the band, the part that that is wraps around the top of the foot. They instead they took away those perforated holes and they added them to the bottom of the sole of the slipper, which is a little bit odd, I think, because I would think that it would cause the water to go into the sole of the foot and get on the bottom of your foot in that way. And so I don't know if I would agree with that design change. I would recommend that you would probably get the older versions of the Solarsoft Slide, where those perforated holes are on the top and not the bottom of the sole. But those may not be in stores anymore, I'm not sure, but they're definitely a better design choice in my opinion, just thinking about it, because I never actually wore those new versions. And the Benassis are different too now, because I think they do have another model that they're selling alongside the older model that I had previously bought before, which is a model of Benassi that has a Solarsoft sole, but it still has the cushioning or the band being basically identical to what it was before. And so with this new Solarsoft sole is that you're going to have a lot more comfortability when you're walking around wearing the slipper, because it's a lot more cushiony, because the Solarsoft material is patented by Nike, and it's like it's a very comfortable sort of like rubber that when you wear it and you walk around in it, it feels like it's sort of like massaging your foot as you wear it, and it's very comfortable to wear. The previous design of the Benassi, they were using like a foam, a hard foam, and that foam is like also comfortable to a certain degrees, but they're not as comfortable as the Solarsoft side material, that kind of like rubber that they use. And so they thought that they would add that to the Benassi so that they also have that, but they didn't change the design of the band, and so it's still being stitched on, it's still being used with glue, and so that'll eventually wear down on you, and it'll still have the issues with the moisture and stink that they are kind of known for having. So with that, if you know a pair of slipper that's you would argue is even better than the Solarsoft Slides, which I would recommend that you buy because they're, based on my criteria, they're a lot better and they're a lot superior of a product. But if you know a better product that you would say is even more comfortable, even more better than the Solarsoft Slide, then please leave a comment below telling me about what that product is, because I would like to know, and I would like to do a review about that maybe at some point. But other than that, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell button, bell icon, so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that, I would like to say goodbye, and I'll see you in the next one. All right? Peace.